Hi folks, welcome to this Sunday's Sunday Catechism. We're still on the 8th commandment. We're looking at the we shall not steal, and we're at number 74. Let me just have a look at that and let me read it to you. What is required in the 8th commandment? The 8th commandment requires the honest earning and increasing of our own and others' wealth and possessions. What is required in the 8th commandment? The 8th commandment requires the honest earning and increasing of our own and others' wealth and possessions. Now, it's interesting, I was reading this and I happened to be reading a book on the fathers of the Free Church. And people like James Begg and Thomas Guthrie, Thomas Chalmers, McCheyne and others were incredibly focused on helping the poor. And one of the reasons that Begg gives is because of this commandment, that it's our responsibility to help others' wealth and possessions. The scripture verses that are used are Genesis 30, saying, I've now increased into a multitude, the Lord has blessed you since my coming. 1 Timothy 5:8, if anyone doesn't provide for his own, especially those of his own family, he's worse than an unbeliever. Leviticus 25:35, if your brother is poor and gone into decline, you shall help him. In fact, even though they be a stranger. Deuteronomy 22:1-5, again, if you see your brother's ox or whatever going astray, you should bring it back and help him. Exodus 23, same thing. Genesis 47:14, Joseph gathering up the corn for Pharaoh and Joseph helping with the famine. Now, I've been reading on my Kindle, Thomas Watson, and very interesting what he says here. A man may rob himself by miserliness. The miser, the thief. A man may rob himself by foolishly wasting his estate, that we fritter away things. We're a thief to ourselves by idleness when we misspend our time. We're a thief to ourselves when we sign as a surety for someone that we're not sure about. So I think that, those are important things. Going on to say we should not live by stealing. I think, again, that is just so important. But I'm taken with this idea of that we should produce wealth in order that we are able to help others. We don't produce wealth just for ourselves. I think that's an extremely helpful part. The honest earning, not dishonest earning, and the increasing of our own wealth, but also we aim to increase other people's wealth and possessions. And I wonder, in our culture, there's a thing we call the Protestant work ethic. I remember my father, when he was injured at work and he had to be off work for a considerable period of time, how difficult it was for us to persuade him to take unemployment benefit. And we were pointing out to him that he'd paid into the national insurance for so many years. He was perfectly entitled to do it, but he just had this so stuck in him that he should be working for his keep. Now, of course, there are people who are disabled, there are people who are sick, there are people who are made unemployed and they need support and help, and that's what we're to do. But equally, none of us is owed a living, and it says in Scripture, if a man will not work, he shall not eat. We have to, in this world, we have to work in order to provide for ourselves, in order to provide for others, and not to do so is in fact a form of theft. Those people who sponge off others are in effect stealing. So I think that there's a lot to think about there, and I think for myself, I need to think about how I use my money and how I purchase things and so on. We've got one more of this 8th commandment to look at, and we'll look at that next week. But God bless you, and I hope you have a good and honest, hard-working week. Bye.